Was released January 22nd, 1986. Producer Ron Nevison. From my understanding, the music was written by Jakey Lee, and the lyrics were put in by Bob Daisley. And then Ozzy flew off to Europe to, I think, France, and laid down the vocals with Ron Nevison. He was a producer for several bands in the 80s, including Survivor, and I think he did Crazy Nights as well. So he was a little more of a commercial sound, and maybe that's why people complain about this album. A lot of drama up to this. First of all, Bark at the Moon, the album before, featured a lineup that wasn't together anymore, and I'm not going to get into that, but Jakey Lee was the remaining link to that group, as well as Ozzy, of course, and we bring in Phil Soussan and Randy Castillo. First track, The Ultimate Sin, and I just love how that starts out with the drums. I think Randy Castillo, he was also with Lita Ford for Dancing on the Edge. I like him. I think he's a good drummer, and I like how he uses a lot of the toms, but the beginning of that song, The Ultimate Sin, is just fantastic. I like the drums, and I love the video, how it incorporates the show Dallas, very reminiscent of the times. Jakey Lee owns this album. I love everything he does here. He is definitely a key part of this, and his playing is just fantastic. Secret Loser. I think that's a good song, and I think it's also, I didn't understand the words a lot, until I was a little older, but it's a pretty deep song, especially lyrically. It's getting into that mental health stuff. I can understand what you say is real. Underneath the surface is a wound that never heals. Really good writing, and I think it's a pretty powerful message there. I will complain on the album overall. It sounds a little hollow to me, but it's just a very minor complaint. Track 3, Never Know Why, I think is okay. We rock, rock, rock. They say that a lot, and it's very repetitive, and that's not one of my favorite tracks on the album. Track 4, Thank God for the Bomb. I think it's great lyrics, and I love how Jakey Lee makes those fills, and it has a nice little riff. The Nuke It Nuke It kind of adds a little something. Even though it's very small, it makes a big difference in the song. Never. And some people like this track. I don't. Least favorite of the tracks. And I think the reason why is it sounds like Crazy Train. At least that's what I get with the guitar work. Jakey Lee is one of the best, and I know that he said a lot of these songs were from Rat, but then just kind of doctored him up to sound more, more Ozzy-like, give it that Ozzy twist. Killer of Giants, really well put together. I think this is probably the best song on this album, although there are a couple that I really like. They don't come until later. Love the acoustic intro. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Randy Rhoads, might have done. I think my favorite part of the song is when it changes and he says, giant sleeping, giant winning, wars within his reach. That's a pretty powerful part of the song. And I think Ozzy, this is his best vocally. Lightning Strike, Bob Daisley. Do you think he really wrote all those lyrics? Do you think that those were changed? I kind of think they were. Don't worry, we'll just be rocking all night. Rocking all night, ow! And then he does that, and it's just like, wow, that's pretty cheesy. There's too much of a repetitive chorus, and just too much rocking all night. So that's not my favorite, but I still think it's cool. Fool Like You, I think this is a really good song. I like the way it starts with the guitar, and I just think it's a really well put together song. It didn't have to do with the Cold War, kind of saying fuck you, and I'm not putting up with your shit. I'd love to know who they were talking about in that song. If you think you know what they were talking about, leave it in the comments. Shot in the Dark. Yeah, that's a great song. And we get introduced to Julie. And Julie was in The Ultimate Sin also. The girl with the red eyes, as my friend called her, that would put her hand on her temple, and it was just weird. But apparently people remember her and liked her. So that's why they used her for the other videos. I don't know if they did the third video with her or not. But that third video, that was Lightning Strikes. That's when Ozzy was playing King Kong, climbing up the buildings, and in his Liberace outfit, or no, that was his blue outfit. I don't know. It was just weird the way they were dressing. I guess they were trying to fit in with what the others were doing, but it just didn't seem very Ozzy-like. Yeah, especially Rockin' All Night. I don't know. But I do think the songs are solid. Had they been mixed differently, maybe it would sound more believable. I like this album. I'll say there are a few things I don't like about it, but overall, I listen to it maybe once every 10 years, and I think I listened to it maybe 5 years ago. I talked about Zakk Wylde in the last video. Glad that he came in. And I only said that because I don't think Jake E. Lee was treated very fairly, especially with Bark at the Moon, that he pretty much lost out on. And I like that he put his foot down on this album. I'm glad that he left just because he was able to go on and create his own stuff. Badlands is pretty badass. Do I think this is the best? No. I think maybe Ozzy doesn't like it because he didn't have a whole lot to do with it. I think he was in rehab during that time, and may feel like he didn't contribute as much as he wanted to, and maybe that's why it was a little weaker. I don't know. There's been so many changes. Just think about Jake E. Lee. He almost lost the audition with George Lynch. And I want to say one more thing about Jake E. Lee in that video, Lightning Strikes. I don't like how Ozzy pulled his hair like that. Why did he do that? Was that like a dominance thing? Was it part of their dynamic? I just think it seems a little are you my bitch? I know he did that in the video, and I think he did that on tour as well. But what was that about? It's kind of degrading. No matter what, Ozzy always had the best people working for him and the best musicians for sure. Anyway, I'm going a little backwards here. So next review, I'm going to talk about Bark at the Moon. So you all have a great week, and I'll see you next time in my heavy metal kitchen. Take care. Bye.